031 Whopper. We'll call him a Southern group. Eastern group is 50 east of Whopper.
Eastern group now turning cold angel. Understand, cleared to kill. Leader, past the line now.
One, cleared kill, cleared kill.
По курсу до цели полсотни 3. Выше 3. По фронту между целью 2 километра.
Одна слева, одна справа, 209.
Пошли направо, 39. Наблюдаю, работаю по ней. 10 наблюдаешь? Нет? Понял. Находится справа. Иду за паром второй. Уходите влево, 78. После второй за нами. Работаю по верхнему. Давай, выхожу вправо. После. Понял. Просто второй за нами, давай. Огонь, огонь! Понял.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in. How are you going? Welcome back to SATAC 2022. We are about to embark on a journey of some of the finest DCS aviation PvP action that you can see anywhere. Nancy did a question. Yes, this is a competitive match of DCS. We are in the knockout round of SATAC 2022 with inSky and ALAMO facing head-to-head in the knockout rounds. This is the best of 5. And what's most important, when we get started, we have to figure out which map we're playing on. There are 18 possibilities, different weather conditions, and different parts of the world. So, let's roll the dice and see where we're going to end up. Number 4, which is Tbilisi versus Sukhumi. Clear winter day. Looking good. That'll be an interesting competition. All right, I'll hand over the map information to the organisers, the wonderful 51st, and we will get stuck into the action as soon as everyone is alive and ready to go. All right, so how are you going? How are you guys feeling? Are you excited? While we're here, we should probably have a quick look at who's involved in this entire production. So, let's have a look at the teams. This is inSky versus the Alamo Aggressors, two fantastic teams. These guys are the best of the best. Alamo Aggressors, I cast one of their previous matches. This is going to be very interesting. A champion squadron of F-15 pilots versus inSky, a team I'm not too familiar with. But if reputation precedes them, that means that they are the ones to beat. So here we see the groups such as they are. Whoops, this is the wrong one. We'll have a look at this one. This is where we are within SATAC 2022. ETF versus PTF, with ETF progressing to the next round. 51st and TMC yet to come. SPQR versus the 343rd was an amazing match, with Starry Fox 9 managed to bring them into the next round. And now we see what inSky and Alamo have to offer. So that's who we've got coming up. Important to say thank you to the sponsors of SATAC 2022. Heat Blur, Eagle Dynamics, Magnitude 3, Decker Ironworks, Razbam, and I see we have Spectre here, along with TACView and LOT ATC. I'll be giving you a glimpse of some of the things that these tools can do as the games progress, particularly TACView and LOT ATC. An important note is that when we get stuck into battle here, we will be having a quick look at what the GCIs, that stands for Ground Control Intercept, will be doing and seeing when it comes to guiding the players. In the initial group stages, they had the benefit of having AWACS support and data link if their plane supported it, but now we're getting up and stuck in with GCIs being provided by the players themselves. I know that Alamo has had a little bit of trouble finding their GCI for today, so hopefully they've got the coverage they need to get stuck in. Have you guys got some friends on these teams? Do you know who's getting involved? And if you know anything about Alamo and inSky, what's your impression of these teams? You got some exciting hot takes? Are you enthusiastic to see what they bring to the table? We will definitely be doing some incredible flying today. What's the roster? Well, once we see the players get stuck in, we'll give everyone a quick introduction to make sure we can see where they are and who they are. So, let's have a quick look. Have you guys seen TACView before? It's an interesting tool. Here we have TACView. This is one of the ultimate in-flight monitoring tools available to anyone, and will be providing us with the kind of view of aerial combat you can only dream of having. You're eager to hear the radio chaos. Oh, look, who knows? Who knows? Also, we have access to LOT ATC as well. Have you guys seen LOT ATC before? It's an interesting tool. Gives you the perspective of the eye in the sky, the A50 providing AWACS support here, and radar guidance being provided by the player seeing things from this perspective. We can see that with no one in the sky just yet, we can see the enemy AWACS circling distant on the horizon. Let's see where we are in the world. Welcome to the DCS screen that you all know and love. Interesting now that we've had our most recent patch in which they have added some new indicators to different aircraft. You can see a bearing and directional heading, as well as the opportunity to turn on and off labels for all kinds of different weapons. So, while we wait for everyone to get ready and loaded in, we'll have a quick look around the map. Looks like it's going to be a mountain fight. Yeah, you're not wrong. So, up on the left, we have Sukhumi. I'm sure you guys have taken off and landed at this airfield before. And on the right, we have Tbilisi Locini. These two iconic airfields, very familiar to anyone who spends plenty of time on servers such as Growling Sidewinder. Servers we're playing on at the moment, kindly provided by SPQR. Thank you again for all of their involvement in this competition. We're letting everyone get loaded in and ready to go. We have our first inSky players getting ready, and the AWACS are already in the air. Now, knowing the Alamo aggressors, as I do, which is to say not all that well, I do know that we'll likely be seeing some F-15s coming from that side. Excellent high-altitude interceptors capable of donating some of their wonderful kinematic properties to the missiles that they launch, and in their battle against TMC, in their battle against FTQ, they put them to excellent use. Now, as you say, rightly so, this is a map dominated by hilly terrain along the north and southern areas. This entire zone down the bottom and this entire zone along the top, dominated by hills. If we are going to be watching different teams get stuck in, okay, we're going to have to figure out who's who. Of course, we have to figure out who's going to be on the red side and on the blue side. All right, heads, we're going to do a quick coin flip here and figure out who gets to start. So, tails. It looks like that we are going to be getting inSky, picking which side they want. Will be a very interesting match. USA versus China, both very good teams. I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. And it looks like inSky has decided to start on the red side. And we have Alamo starting on the blue. The blue, of course, being the team starting on the southeastern side, and the red being the team starting on the northwestern side. This is a very, very interesting layout, seeing as we will be doing a best of 5, so they'll have plenty of opportunities to spawn in and get ready. Here we see the boys from, and girls in fact, from Alamo getting into their aircraft already. And no surprises here, we see plenty of F-15s with that iconic Alamo aggressors camouflage. Come and take it. And they've certainly told us that they're going to be able to give it. Other limitations that we have on the airframes are that you can bring a maximum of 4 Fox 3 missiles and no AIM-9Xs. So it's AIM-9Ms, 4 AIM-120Cs, and whatever else you'd like to bring. For the vast majority of F-15s, they typically tend to bring their 4 AIM-120s and bring along 2 Sparrows if they're feeling like it on the alternative pylons. Let me just check that we have legitimate loadouts here. Does seem as if inSky is struggling to get their ATC logged in. Just one second. Alamo defenders, Alamo aggressors, definitely USA. Yes, they're an interesting team. In fact, speaking of the Alamo aggressors, I have a little bit of a biography. Alamo Squadron was formed back in around October 2020 with the goal of participating in the competitive DCS PvP community and excelling at BVR combat. A small dedicated group consisting of mostly Americans with some European members. Their first competition was TACT 21. They scored the longest range AIM-120 kill of that tournament at over 47 nautical miles. So, it's pretty impressive. They know exactly how to launch missiles at long range, and they'll be taking advantage of that fact as they get involved. Looks like we're just getting locked ATC to work how we want it to, so we'll give it a little bit of time. Sometimes people like to get their engines started nice and quick, and sometimes people like to take a little bit longer as they wait to get going. None of the inSky members have quite spawned in yet, so we'll give them some time. I hope that you're all having a very good day as we are looking at the weather conditions here in the Caucasus. Now, it's a winter's day, so that means that engine performance will be good. Plenty of clear sky with which to sneak around on the valleys of. No worries. Sorry for the delays, sorting out GCI. No worries, no worries. We can talk all day long. More information about the members of ALAMO. Of course, let me just double check something here. More information about the members of the ALAMO aggressors here. Sid's participating in TACT 21. They've participated in House of Tsar, SATAL 2022, SATAC 2021, and are currently participating in SATAL 2023 and SATAC 2022. Last time they flew in SATAC, they were able to make it to the knockout rounds, where they were knocked out by the tournament organisers, the KIAP. They are hoping to do better this year, but this team is legendary when it comes to some of their performance. You should expect to see some wonderful formation flying. They put real emphasis on their skills as they get moving. Who have we got in the lineup here? So, we have Sizzle, Tab, True Metro Man, Dun92, Moldy, and Prez forming the team for ALAMO. Looks like they've got a mercenary with them as Tab's coming along. Though I think I'll have to double check whether or not they're a member of ALAMO. One way or another, it's a full lineup of F-15s. Now, some people get a little bit touchy about the F-15 and its lack of data link, but it's not going to do them any favours. As ground control intercept is provided by the members of the teams. So they will have their AWACS being provided by another player. The lack of data link is not necessarily an issue for these aircraft anymore, as they will have these bad boys providing them with all the eyes they need. And to be honest, let's be real, data link's a little bit of a crutch if you come to rely on it too much. But of course, if you're taking something like the Su-27s or the F-14, the F-18s, you still have the fighter-to-fighter data link that you can take advantage of as well. Thank you very much for the follows and subscriptions. As this is a competitive event, I will not necessarily be able to acknowledge everyone, so please accept my apologies, and I'll be sure to say a big thank you to everyone after the fact. A couple of technical issues that we're going to work our way through here as we get everyone connected up to all of the software that they need to provide all of the insights into this aerial battle as it takes place. Of course, would it be DCS if everything started up as smooth as possible the first time? I wouldn't bet money on it. But, you know, first time for everything. At least with the multi-threading patch. Some people are getting some spectacular performance now. Let's have a look at inSky. Yeah, have we got any inSky pilots loaded in yet? Doesn't look like anyone from inSky has actually spawned in yet, so we'll have to wait and see. They're keeping us guessing about what airframes they're bringing. I know that at the moment they're just trying to get their GCI logged into all of the appropriate software. And, of course, that will be lot ATC for them. They're just keeping us on the edge of their seats. inSky demonstrating a wonderful understanding of the value of a little bit of suspense when it comes to letting us know what they're going to be taking to the sky with. Did they put a biography? Unfortunately not, actually. But if anyone has one for them, that would be fantastic if I could get access to it. I did have a dig around and see if I could get any of the information for inSky, but they continue to be enigmatic. But that's okay. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. And nothing quite like a little bit of suspense. It looks like we have some of our inSky members spawning in. And the first ones off the deck look like they are F-15s. Along with, over here I think I saw, a venerable F-16. Spectacular. Looks like it's NATO v NATO so far, but there's plenty of time for people to get involved. Techneticum, thank you very much for all of your technical support. Much appreciated. One of the key organisers of this event, member of the 51st, of course. Tell you what, Tech, you don't happen to know of any kind of biography for the inSky pilots. They are a little bit enigmatic. It's difficult to figure out who they are. And in fact here, I think it may well be because they are potentially Chinese. I don't actually think that the characters in the name here are loading for me. So we're going to have to see, and I'm going to have to do my best here to figure out who these people are. How many war crimes are up today? Hopefully not too many. I'm not entirely sure in an air-to-air competition whether or not anyone will be bringing napalm or cluster bombs, but stranger things have happened. It looks like it's F-15s and F-16s. Now, you might be confused, thinking, well, why wouldn't they all bring F-16s instead of F-15s? It's got a whole extra F. And that's a good question. And if we go by that logic, surely you'd want to bring all F-18s. Because the more Fs you have, the better. But apparently that's not how it works. I've been speaking to some real pilots, and after asking them that question, they told me to go away and leave them alone. So, we'll see. Have you guys got a drink? Have you gone to the bathroom? Have you got yourselves a snack to keep yourselves occupied? Check out these beautiful inSky liveries that we have here. F117? Yeah, maybe. Can we think of a higher F? I mean, we have the F100, of course. We have the F104, which is pretty close. But I guess perhaps the logic behind that choice may potentially be flawed. I don't know. I think that there's not necessarily much to be gained in excessive self-reflection, because I don't consider myself to ever having had mistakes or made mistakes. So why try and change the way that I act if I'm already perfect? I'm not that conceited, I promise. Interesting choice with the F-15s. We'll get some F-15 versus F-15 action. It's going to be the battle of the long-range missile. While everyone's getting armed up and ready to go, just let me have a quick look at how everyone's looking for... of course, ALAMO. ALAMO are spectacular when it comes to them looking good. All right. Alright, everyone's loading in and getting ready. I'll give you a quick view of these F-15s looking mean and ready to go. What's the rule on jets like the Cat? Both seats need to be occupied by players? That is exactly true. If you have a Wizzo or Rio, I'm sure that once we get the F-15E, we will definitely be seeing some Wizzos and in the back seats. It needs to be occupied by a player in these rounds. In the group stage, it could have been Jester, but Jester is not making an appearance here. Alright, I'll be back in 1 second just as I double check the last few settings. Okay. No, we will not be getting radio communication on this one. Sorry, guys. But most of this is happening through TeamSpeak servers and all the same. So, there's nothing to listen into except my voice, which I apologise for, but it's all you've got. Tell you what, who have we got here in chat? Put a 1 in chat if you're here cheering on inSky. Put a 2 in chat if you're here cheering on the Alamo aggressors. And put whatever you like in chat if you're just curious to see what's going to happen. Oh, looks like we've got some fans of both teams here. And we've got some people who just want to see some sick DCS action. Can't blame you. Loadouts for the F-16s looking extremely typical. And loadouts for the F-15s looking like they consist of 4 AIM-120Cs, 2 AIM-9Ms, and 2 Sparrows across the board, with the F-16s electing to bring 4 AIM-120Cs, 2 AIM-9Ms, and a mixture of ECM pods and additional fuel tanks. Curiously, it doesn't seem like anyone likes to bring the centerline fuel tank for the F-15. Now, the F-15 is a monster when it comes to internal fuel load. This thing has tons and tons of fuel. You can burn through it if you're not careful. In fact, in the previous match, we got to see, unfortunately, some of the members of, who was it? It was SPQR. Right at the key moment, ran out of fuel in their F-15 and become a feature on the side of a Caucasus mountain. The centerline tank is bad, hey? You can't afford that drag. You don't like the pylon drag. Extra weight is ew. Well, you sound like my ex. inSky is taxing up. I love these gorgeous yellow canopies that they have on these F-16s. So, how many... This is the question I want to ask. How many ECM pods we've got? Looks like we've got 2 ECM pods, 3 ECM pods on the F-16s, and 1 bringing a triple bag loadout. Meanwhile, the F-15s don't have any of that to worry about, as they have the ECM built in. If you have a look at the tips of the rear rudders, you see these twin boom tails on the end. You see how one of those tails on the end is big and chubby at the top and the other is thin? That's where the ECM antennas are. Both teams ready. Get set. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. And we should be seeing everyone get moving in no time at all. I love the way that Alamo gets moving. They will stick in tight and close formation very, very firmly. It's one of the best things about watching this team, so I hope you enjoy it. You're assuming their 3-tank guy is the insurance policy. That's an interesting point. I like that thought. Whoa! True Metro Man getting off to a little bit of a wiggly squiggly start, just to make sure that your flaps and stabs are all working as expected. And it looks like Tab and Sizzle will be the last ones off the deck. Meanwhile, inSky are taking off with their first 2 F-16s. A little bit slower, but... Oh my god, such smooth takeoff. Oh, never mind. Hey, look. Who can say that they haven't had a bit of a wiggly takeoff? You've got to handle that torque and crosswind pretty carefully. Nice with some music. Are all the volumes and levels looking good and sounding good to you guys? Is everyone happy with the sound? Is everyone hearing everything as expected? How about we have a quick look at TAC view? We will not have too much to see just at the moment. You're all good? Perfect. As we see, the F-15s of Alamo separating out. And in fact, this is what Alamo does. It confuses even me. I was like, why is there only one player going in this direction? Oh, sure enough, it's two players. They're just in incredibly close formation. Looks like Moldy and Prez are taking the northern group, and Dun Dun and True Metro Man are taking the southern group, with Tab and Sizzle forming the center group. Over here for inSky, the first two pilots off the deck are Wu Wei and Yanyu, followed by HTWJ123, and then Flankacy following them, with the two F-15s following in before. Now, there's more to look at. Here's LOT ATC. This is the software that's being used by the GCIs to provide information for the pilots. Here we are looking at it from the blue perspective, so you can see that they can keep track of their pilots taking off and providing their location in real time. And over here we can see the radar returns that they are picking up, and they can see that this plane here flying along is definitely the AWACS, and the rest of these planes are almost definitely coming to do them some harm. It's interesting to see what it looks like. Alright. But let's have a look at the pretty airplanes. It looks like for inSky, the F-16s are charging down the middle, with the F-15s separating out into northern and southern groups. Meanwhile, we have Alamo showing off their formation flying ability. I mean, the F-15 can go so high and so fast. 35,000 feet doesn't even feel that high up in the sky, but it is, trust me. Now, here's the central objective. The only thing that bothers me is that sometimes when you're on a winter map, you can't see this map all that good. So, we'll keep it on altitude mode. The ring is the combat zone. If you occupy the ring and the opponent stays out of it for 5 minutes, then it's all over Red Rover. But no doubt we'll see both teams enter the ring, and whoever's left standing, and importantly, can make it back to their airfield, is the winner of this round of the best of 5. Oh, the man, the myth, the legend. We have Starry Fox 9, the hero of the 343rd, managed to score in a 5 versus 1 scenario. In dire straits, the 343rd were looking down the barrel of a loss, and Starry managed to score an ace in what was an incredible bit of flying. As expected, the F-15s are going absolutely stratospheric here at the moment, as we see OVO pass 40,000 feet. Meanwhile, over on the Alamo side, it looks like we have the northern group at 36,000, the southern group at 36,000 and 37,000, and the central group at 37,000. They are so organised, you'll see no better. And blue are the first to enter the combat zone. Not surprising, these F-15s have been in burner since they entered the circle. Meanwhile, we have inSky, who have also entered. It looks like the triple-bagged F-16 is the one that they've decided to send low and fast down the middle. Looking at LOT ATC at the moment, we can definitely see the kinds of vectors that they're going to be giving to their pilots. Saying, well, we have a single contact, BRA 280, at 180 kilometers. Meanwhile, it looks like the southern group is moving to intercept, as the two groups, the centerline group and the southern group, appear to be making their way towards the inSky pilots approaching from the south. Here is the zoomed out view of everyone progressing into the zone. Looks like we have these two F-16s forming the lower section of the southern group for inSky, with the F-15 providing top cover. Heading straight for them, we have two groups. of F-15s at high altitude going at light speed. They are flying in pairs. ALAMO tends to fly in close pairs. So we see a very tight formation, relatively speaking, for aerial combat of the northern group coming along. It looks like they want to make moves into the zone very quickly, and that could spell trouble for inSky as they progress towards, I think, the enemies entering up through the center. So in this northern area here, and in this southern area here, we have a valley flanked by high mountains. Now, if there's one thing you do not want to end up in, it is relatively flat ground with F-15s above you going at light speed. So I'm not entirely sure if inSky is going to want to stay down here for all that long, with ALAMO burning plenty and plenty of fuel. The northern F-15 for inSky appears to be flanking around, possibly looking to eventually turn south and engage the southern group. ALAMO are famous for making some very, very, very long-range shots, so I'm keeping an eye on this screen because, I mean, a separation of 45 nautical miles, that's nothing for ALAMO. They can launch at that range, and they will, with the northern group of Prez and Moldy at 45,000 feet, heading towards Wuwei and Yanyu in the northern group for inSky, who are at 25 and 7,000 feet, respectively. Gosh, ALAMO is going so fast. Who's going to be the one to launch first? I reckon we'll see missiles come off Prez and Moldy pretty much at the same time against these two targets. We'll keep a close eye on them as they get the moves going. Though with that being said, it may well be the case that they've been warned about this northern F-15, and rightly so, with Prez appearing to break off, and an AIM-120C, the first launch from the northern F-16, the first AIM-120C in the air launched against Prez, an AIM-7 launched from Moldy towards Wuwei, potentially doing nothing more than saying, we're here, and your radar warning receiver is going wild. This AIM-120C launch against Prez going really fast and really high. Prez is going to have to throw some shapes if you're not careful. Ooh, Prez. No, I mean, you can see just to the left of the missile. Ooh, boy, that's deadly dangerous. Come on, Prez. That's got to be defeated. Plenty of missiles going back and forth, with Dundun 92 having plenty of AIM-120s behind them. Ooh, we've lost one. The southern... One of the ALAMO pair in the southern group has gone down. Alright, we'll have to check DAC for you to see what happened there. Interesting choice to launch the AIM-7s first. Dundun is now flying solo. Another AIM-7. So many AIM-7 launches. ALAMO is flying with no GCI. Oh no. Alright, well that's going to make things more difficult. Dundun is pressing the attack towards the central group for inSky, who have not lost anyone yet. Meanwhile, ALAMO is down one F-15, having had taken an AIM-120C shot. Dundun is here to get revenge for the fallen body. Another AIM-120C launch from the northern F-15, looking like it's coming in towards Dundun, and an AIM-120C launch coming from an F-16 from a fairly low altitude, being launched up towards Dundun, who's going to have to throw some shapes. Meanwhile, he launches an AIM-120C in response. Both of these missiles going fairly quick. Let's see. That's not what we want to look at. Okay, this is the threatening one. That's coming in for Dundun at a rate of knots. Is Dundun going to be able to get away from this? Does feel a little bit like it might have lost track. And I would say it has, as AIM-120Cs and AIM-7s from Moldy come off the rails, and Sizzle, at low altitude, launches a fairly close AIM-120C shot against Yanyu. Yanyu's going to have to be careful here and fly very, very low. Still got the bags on, all three of them. Meanwhile, an AIM-120C launch looks like it's up against Prez in the Northern Group, looking to get some revenge from damage suffered. An AIM-120C launch against HTWJ. Meanwhile, inSky are playing it close with Alamo forming a defensive circle around themselves. One pilot down so far. Another AIM-7 away from Tab. Another one of these missiles that just feels like it's probably a noisemaker, just going off the rails to give a little bit of an alert to a radar warning receiver. An AIM-120C launch from the southern F-15 at high altitude, going in towards the southern group for Alamo. This is the deadly missile in the sky at the moment, as everything else appears to have had run out of juice and track. We definitely are seeing Alamo on the back foot for this one. This missile is going fast, and Tab is going to have to go defensive, and unsurprisingly has. Yep. Tab has quite comfortably defeated that missile, demonstrating good situational awareness. So it looks like Moldy's going to be the one who's pressing the attack. Everyone's expending several missiles so far. We have an AIM-120C launch coming off the rails towards Wu-Wei, who has launched one in response. Massive altitude advantage to Moldy, but Wu-Wei will have the mountains to hide themselves in, and Moldy's going to have to be careful because that missile is fast and it is dangerous as it comes in close, but it looks like Moldy might have pulled that down into the thicker air and will be thriving and surviving for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Dun Dun and Sizzle forming up and heading towards battle. Alright, sorry about that. Meanwhile, we have more missiles in the air. And an AIM-120C launch against Dun Dun, who feels like it must surely be running out of time and energy at the moment. But is that one deadly? Come on, Dun Dun. This missile's going fast. Has it got him? Oh, it's so close. Come on, Dun Dun. Come on, Dun Dun. It's so close. So, Dun Dun, no. No! Okay, jeez. That's just walked right in. Okay, an AIM-120C launch from Tab against OVO. It's getting close, but I don't know if that one will have the energy to get stuck in already down to 1400 knots. It just feels like inSky is all over it. He couldn't hear us, he had AirPods on. I know! You've got to be careful. Have we lost anyone for inSky just yet? We have not. Meanwhile, we have the northern F-15 getting stuck in. Have you got missiles left? It's down to one AIM-120C and two Sidewinders, a very close range AIM-120C launch. Alright, and that AIM-120C launch, the only defining characteristic is whether or not it has track, and it goes right into Moldy. Unlucky, you are not getting away with that. It is just looking like Alamo is surrounded and running out of options. The Northern Group F-15 is progressing and getting stuck into a full encirclement of Alamo from both lines. The two F-15s with massive altitude advantages. The real limiting factor, and as you can see here, is missiles. This OVO has only got AIM-9Ms on the wings, down to heat seekers. These F-16s are going to have to pick up the slack. Sizzle launching a fairly close range AIM-120C short against HTWJ, who responds in kind, but the question is, can you throw enough shapes to get away from a very, very, very speedy missile coming towards you? Looks like it may well have gotten away with it. Meanwhile, We have F-15s directly above Alamo, and Alamo looks like it has lost another pilot. Everyone is in trouble here, and in a big way, as the F-15s start to dip down. Dun with an F-15 directly above them, must be feeling very, very, very stressed at the moment. It is not going the way that they might have expected it. Prez, nothing left to do except mask themselves against the mountain. Dun. Just fly up. Oh, a missile off the wing for Dun. Going in towards Yanyu, who launches one in return. I'd be surprised if either one of these have enough energy to trade back and forth. You love the new map indicator. Okay, the red missile is trashed against the mountains. Meanwhile, Tab has an AIM-9M coming in. Oh, bad luck. Tab takes the heat seeker. No warning, so the chaff is just not doing it. Meanwhile, we're left with Dun, Prez, and Sizzle here. With ships coming in from all directions, it falls down to Prez launching an AIM-7 against OVO, who launches an AIM-9 in response. We're down to Heat Seekers and Fox 1s going in all directions now. Has this AIM-9 got any kind of track against Prez? Prez passes in front of it. The whole thing is spoofed. Meanwhile, Sizzle launches an AIM-7 and gets an AIM-120 in response against planes that are just right next to each other. It's a merge. I don't even know if they realise they're in the merge. And he takes the AIM-120C that was launched. Bad luck. Meanwhile, Prez is in close range battle. Missiles traded in both directions. It all falls down to countermeasures and manoeuvring. Prez turning in and pressing in the attack. Both planes dumping all the chaff and flare that they have. A very close range A9 shot connects. Prez gets a kill for Alamo. Meanwhile, we have an AIM-120C, two AIM-120Cs going very fast against... Oh, jeez, that felt like it was tracking a friendly for a second there. An AIM-120C from Dun going in towards OVO, who's over the water and will struggle to... Oh, that manoeuvring. Incredible. Damaged aircraft as well. I feel like he got so close to the ground that ended up actually scraping the tail off. Prez is down to one heat seeker and one AIM-120 and is merging currently with members of inSky, one of which has just launched two AIM-120Cs. Dun is in so much trouble here at the moment with nothing but ground masking to save them and hits the deck. Unlucky. It's down to Prez. Prez asked of an insane question. Can you take down almost the entirety of inSky? It would have to be a clean sweep from Prez. With one AIM-9 and the gun, it's feeling like it might not be possible. May have been a maneuver kill, maybe that the missile did damage that we didn't see and the pilot fell out of the sky. Prez making their final valiant effort here, looking to merge towards the members of inSky, with currently the closest member being just off their 11 o'clock, launching an AIM-9M at close range, but it falls for the flares. Prez is down to guns. This is a merge. Flying seemingly parallel with each other, it looks like Prez has the tail. An AIM-120C comes in, but these planes are right next to each other. You have to be careful or else you might end up shooting a buddy. Prez is right on the tail. Oh, that was close. Come on, Prez. Come on, Prez. The inSky pilot throwing every shape they can. This Vulcan cannon's difficult to dodge. Oh, and saved at the last second, but Prez scores some hits. Well. Which of these pilots was the one? Prez managing to hit OVO, turning their plane into not much plane left. It looks like inSky manages to score the kills on this one. But Still have to make it back to base. This round ain't over. So let's go into TAC view here at the moment and see what we didn't see the first time round. So we had the initial launches coming from the southern group. AIM-120 launches from OVO against Dun Dun and True Metro Man, who were coming in fast, dropping their tanks. Yes, nice try, Perez. Dun Dun leading off with the AIM-7, that same sort of noise-making tactic that we've seen. Meanwhile, OVO is launching the much deadlier AIM-120Cs. And this is tracking on True Metro Man. Oh, it's a track while scan launch. 2 launches, one against Dun Dun and one against True Metro Man. And it looks like True Metro Man potentially realizes slightly too late and doesn't begin maneuvering fast enough and takes the first hit for Alamo in the first volley of missiles. Unlucky. Meanwhile, the battle progresses. Dun Dun coming in for revenge against the southern group. AIM-7 for home on jam. That's a very good point, actually. True, true. Okie dokie, just let me do this. And we see Tab break off south, but there's just so many missiles in the air. And the altitude advantage is just not really dropped. We have this incredible situation here where... And just have a quick look at the separation between this missile and this plane. Unlucky. You are going to struggle to get away from that. It's a matter of feet that makes the difference there. Oh, in fact, that one doesn't connect. It was the other one that was going that slowly that didn't end up connecting with Dun Dun, who pulls some shapes down here. But the altitude advantage is definitely all in favour of inSky. We have this high to low AIM-9 shot that comes in and deals with Tab, who likely, not hearing anything on the radar warning receiver, just didn't even know that it was coming and gets cleaned up. Meanwhile, the AIM-120Cs for Alamo just don't seem to have the legs to connect with this situation. More and more AIM-7 launches, none of which I feel like connect. Sizzle comes along here with a AIM-120C launch that had come from Flanker C, guiding entirely of its own volition, and Flanker C has already turned completely around. This was the situation I was astonished by. Sizzle passing directly over OVO, and neither one of them seeming necessarily to know. But perhaps that was the plan all along. Prez getting very lucky here in this merge here. Well, I would say that luck likely has nothing to do with it, actually. Prez's AIM-120C directly impacting the side of the mountain, and the AIM-9 going for the flares. And then a second AIM-9 is just not going to miss at that range. Immediately converting to fight with others. Now this is where things could have gone horribly wrong. We have OVO down here, cutting shapes down on the deck. And we have... Ooh, this team's going to have an uncomfortable conversation. We have HTWJ's first AIM-120C launch, which is coming in towards OVO. OVO says, "That's friendly, friendly, friendly!" And then Yanyu comes along and launches one as well. And OVO says, "What did I do? What did I do? Why are you launching so many AIM-120Cs at me? Please, please." And then there's one coming from the other direction. And this is where I think OVO damaged the tail by very briefly striking the water down here. Alright, let's have a look and see how everyone is going with their return back home. Looks like they're happily flying back, and Red has controlled the battle area for 5 minutes. It falls on them to now just go back home and land. Alright, that's much better. The simulation doesn't quite manage to fully encompass the real-world distractions that can come and go, especially if your partner comes barging through the door to give you food, not realizing that there's DCS battle happening. Come on! Alright, it looks like actually that OVO eventually succumbed to the loss of fuel from taking so much damage. We'll just check actually, because we didn't really see where everyone wound up at the end there. Who was it that Prez was gunfighting? Oh, here we have a curious situation where OVO is actually still in the air, but technically speaking is dead, in air quotes. They're a Chinese squadron, yes. They don't have a bio, no. They have nothing to share with us. They just fly with aggression and passion. Believe it's a Chinese team, yes. So, who have we got left? We have HTWJ, Yanyu, and Wu Wei all making their way back to the base. Alrighty. inSky is a very old DCS squad from China. I see, I see. Ah, you would have hoped that they could potentially have brought along some JF-17s, but I can see that they've gone with the F-16s and the F-15s, and who's to question that decision-making process, because they may put excellent use of them. Finally a worthy opponent for the Japanese squadron. Oh no, let's not get nationalism involved. Oh jeez. That'll make things tense. Now you might be thinking, why haven't the round scores updated? Someone needs to land for this round to be finished. And you see there's an additional little bit of detail here on the inSky plane. You can see that there's a Chinese shoulder patch for Wu Wei. That's so cool. Making their way towards the airfield and preparing for landing. inSky have been flying SATAC since 2011, so you could potentially say that they are a little bit experienced in the field of competitive DCS. But this is the important part. How buttery smooth is your landing? Starry saying that he has interest and respect for inSky. Terrific. Yes, all of the teams involved in this competition, I think, are very worthy. This is definitely not your typical overhead brake, but Wu Wei just seems to be concerned about landing by any means necessary, and if you need to bleed off a little bit of speed by wiggling through the air, then bleed off a little bit of speed by wiggling through the air. It all doesn't really matter. That's why these planes have suspension built in, and the first round belongs to inSky. It would be interesting. I love country teams. I mean, of course I love teams full of people from all over the world. Like the Alamo Aggressors, being predominantly American, but having some European members. But teams that are all from one country, I feel very excited by. Especially like the 343rd, all being Japanese, is just exciting, you know? When else would you get the opportunity to fly against an all-Japanese team of pilots? inSky's Asian Senpai Squadron for 343rd. Oh, I see, I see. You will show no mercy. Well, depending on how these rounds go, I think it will be you guys going head-to-head. But it's a best of 5, so there's still plenty of fight left to happen. Yanyu coming in with what could be called a much more typical approach. Could you recap the rules? Of course. So, within SATAC, it is 2 teams of 6. Any aircraft is allowed, but there are weapon restrictions. No AIM-9Xs, and you can only bring a maximum of 4 Fox 3 missiles. So, SD-10s, AIM-120Cs, AIM-54s, and the like, you can bring a maximum of 4. But you can bring as many of anything else that you want. So that's why we see the F-16s with 4 AIM-120s and 2 AIM-9s. The teams have to make their way towards this circle, and whichever team occupies it, uncontested for 5 minutes, takes control and wins. But the win is dependent on being able to make it back home. Both teams typically enter the circle around about the same time, and they just have to duke it out until there's only one team left. Beyond that, everything is free game. Alrighty, the server appears to be resetting as we get ready for the next round. Beyond that, I don't think that there are any real restrictions. That's one of the joyful things about SATAC as a competition. You can get away with anything you need to be able to get away with to win. While we're waiting for the next round to get going, another quick look at our sponsors. So, Heat Blur, Eagle Dynamics, Magnitude 3, Decker Ironworks, Razbam, TacView and Lot ATC, thank you for your involvement in SATAC 2022. I'll take questions, why not? While we wait for the server to get going, hit me up. What's your question? Especially from the venerable Starry Fox 9. Why is your flanker speaking? Why not? I just woke up like this one day. And don't I look pretty? I would say I do. I'll give you a wink. And if you keep talking like that, you could make me potentially just blush a little bit. But don't be mean, because I might cry. And then I can get angry. But, you know, I do like compliments, though. Okay, have we got the server back up? It looks like we do. You love the talking flanker? Well, I'm glad people do like it. Sometimes people have a pretty weird response. Sometimes they can be a little bit hostile. Okay, it looks like everyone is getting into their starting positions. I'll have to make sure that everything is connected as expected. Your heart has blown up. Oh, terrific. If I can make one person smile, then I'll be happy. Oh, Spectre, no worries. It would be nice to not be the only one. But I'm available for events and promotional activities. Wink, 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 you know. Just, you know, hit me up. Calm down, Starry. Oh, don't be mean to our venerable Fox 9. But the real question is, if we have Fox 1, Fox 2, Fox 3, then what kind of missile is a Fox 9? Time to sell yourself. No, you know what it is time for? A quick be right back. Get up, stretch your legs, get yourself a drink, and get ready for the next round. We'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, how you doing? How we feeling? The teams have switched sides, and we have a very, very lonely OVO sitting here all by themselves, wondering, where's the rest of my team? Fox 9 equals Fox 3 missile, which is made by the magic of Fox Girl. Well, it just makes sense. Why wouldn't there be a NATO reporting code for that? Kong kong koyong. I don't know what that means, but I hope it's not a slur. I'll just read out pretty much what anyone says in chat. I'm kind of like a robot or a puppet. We have the beautiful plains of Alamo now fully restored and ready to go. They'll have a bit of a bloody nose after that one for sure, but I'm sure they'll be back with a vengeance. Once again, I'm sorry I can't individually acknowledge the follows and subscriptions that happen during this competition, as we have to focus on the action. But be sure to catch me on one of my regular streams if you would like to say hello. And oh my god, we are witnessing a biblically accurate flanker here at the moment, as Tab has decided to take off early. Is this against the rules? The engines aren't even on. I mean, we'd have to be a little bit impressive to be sure, Well, we'll let Tab figure out what's going on here. My Discord is just for my community. A group of people who do all kinds of things. But anyone's welcome, and you can talk about anything you like. Hope the server's okay. We all running as expected? Or are we seizing up a little bit here? But today's not about me. Oh, I see. The server is not moving. Verstanden, verstanden, verstanden. Looks like things might be needing a little bit of a restart here. Or maybe things are just actively paused for a minute while we figure out some of the goings on. Let's have a look at the terrain and see what it looks like. So, of course, your 9 means nine-tailed fox. Oh, I see, I see. So if we have a look at this from the pilot's perspective, as they approach the engagement area, we are flanked on both sides by not the highest mountains in the Caucasus, but decent coverage, particularly in the northern area. So, if you're looking to hide from Fox 3 missiles, or Fox 9 missiles, then it's definitely north you want to go. But in this match, we definitely saw quite a bit of action happening in this area down here, the kind of lower foothills that you get in towards the valley. And this was where a lot of the very up-close and personal fighting happened, with Prez coming along and making that AIM-9 shot just over here, and we had OVO hit the water down here, with all of their teammates launching as many AIM-120Cs as they could to potentially shoot down their friend. Can't wait to see how Alamo gets revenge on this one. We'll have to wait patiently and see. Bad luck, you have to look at me for a little bit longer while we get everything working in the background. We will have plenty of flying for you guys to watch very shortly. Okay, is everyone getting started and loading in? Have we still got biblically accurate Tab? Oh, much better now. We do not have an F-15 floating off the ground with its engines switched off. I mean, the inSky the Alamo camouflage and livery for the F-15 is gorgeous, but I'm struggling to think of the F-15 livery that I don't like, even the ones that come with the base game as well. Meanwhile, over here we have Flanker and Yanyu starting up for inSky. You offer your sword for service? Terrific. Well, I'm not entirely sure what I need your sword for at the moment, but feel free to watch the match, and I'll let you know if I think of any uses for the sword. Oh, we're getting a bit of stuttering on the music. Just give me a quick second to refresh all that. Because if we've got a whole new match coming up, we don't want everything stuttering on in the background. Hey, look, you get nothing but the best content happening here. So, there's no switching of planes between rounds, so it will be an all F-15 setup versus an F-15 plus F-16 matchup happening again, but the teams have switched sides. So on the blue southeastern corner, we have the boys from inSky getting stuck in. If inSky take this match with no defeat, you'll buy Bing Chilling for them. Tremendous, tremendous. I would love to see more red. I mean, everyone wants to see more red aircraft within DCS, but could you imagine if we saw like a J-10 or something like that? I mean, of course we have the J-11, but that doesn't feel, you know, distinctly Chinese. It would be great to have. It would be great to have a Chinese domestic fighter. That is specifically for the Chinese market. I mean, of course, we've got the J-82 Peace Pearl coming along, but that was kind of more of a prototype thing, and we have the JF-17, but that was more of an export for Pakistan. True. This platform is for sponsorship, for sportsmanship. The only aerial combat that should be happening in the world should be happening within DCS, and I don't think that we should see any of this happening in real life, because it's so much more fun to have everyone get along and get up in the sky, consequence-free, and go along and share a beer at the end of the day. It's what ETF and the JF-17 is for. I know, ETF's usage of the JF-17. Chef's kiss. Absolutely spectacular. It looks like we're not seeing the 3 jamming pods set up for inSky this time. Instead, electing to take 2 jamming pods and 2 triple-bagged F-16s. Interesting choices. Meanwhile, I think that the loadout that we see for the ALAMO aggressors will be virtually identical. The J-10 would be sexy. Yeah. If there's an Su-30 with clickable, oh, could you imagine? Any of those aircraft. It would be so cool. A flanker is great, yeah. If we could get a full fidelity, modern, clickable flanker, oh, could you imagine? I was so happy that one of the first matches I got to watch and commentate was the 51st match, because of course I have a little bit of a soft spot for the flanker, sue me. I do like that plane very, very much, and watching what they can do with it, oh my goodness, it was a lesson. You're taking a break from your trench digging at the moment. Ha, fantastic. Did you say it was laying communications cables? My goodness, that's definitely one way to spend your day. Looks like we have inSky making their way towards the runway. They're waiting for the Bing Chilling. The cards are on the table. inSky has got to clean sweep this, but the Alamo aggressors are not going to make it easy. They have got some tricks up their sleeve, and they're not going to walk away from this saying, oh, we lost the first one, it might as well be over. No chance. No chance. These boys mean business, and they are going to put their cards on the table and show inSky that this is not going to be easy. This isn't going to be easy for anyone. If you want to win this, you're going to have to fight hard against one of the best teams in the entire tournament. Wu Wei, Yan Yu, HTWJ, Flanker C, OVO, and the 3 question marks taking their blocks. Oh, it's a shame. It's a shame that I don't think that I must not have Chinese characters enabled or something like that, and as a result, I'm not able to see the names properly. So, if anyone is able to tell me what that pilot's name is, I'd much appreciate it. Thank you everyone for being here. It's such a joy to cast these events, and it's such a joy to watch. Oh no, what is this? You're not perfectly in line. You can tell that the Alamo aggressors have been launched off guard a little bit because they're not in a perfect 6 formation. This is the least neat formation I've ever seen. The Alamo aggressors take on the starting line. Hopefully this isn't an indicator of things to come. The last of the inSky pilots taking their way down to the runway. The lack of GCI must really be hurting. Yeah, it's a shame that they hopefully they have a chance to pick up a volunteer, but maybe it might be too late. And I was thinking to myself, if I wasn't casting this match and they couldn't find anyone, I'd gladly do it for them. But we shall see, we shall see. All teams are ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. It is time to take off and get stuck into round 2 of SATAC. And it's time for me to update this text box up the top left. There we go, looking good. What does GCI stand for? It stands for Ground Control Intercept. Oh my god, have we got... What is happening here? Wu Wei. Okay, Wu Wei accidentally hitting the throttle a little bit too hard and ending up in the snow for a brief moment there. Hopefully that hasn't damaged the landing gear. I thought that they were going to go spiraling out of control. Let's check that that landing gear goes up and isn't damaged. It looks good. Managed to get away with without much trouble. That's a lucky break. Wu Wei, what happened there? Oh well. Hopefully that hasn't messed up their start too much. Meanwhile, we have the 2 groups of Alamo. Oh, look at these formations. They just show off sometimes. I mean, the competition isn't over, and there's still anyone who can win this. But I think the award for the best cinematography and the easiest team to take really good video of has to go to Alamo. These guys fly in such a cool looking way. Okie dokie. Let's have a look at what the battle zone looks like. We'll have a quick look over in tactical view as everyone is taking off and getting ready to go, except we're not connected to TAC view correctly. Give me 1 second. While we're waiting for that, oh, I see both my TAC view and Lot ATC have both hit the struggle bus for a second here. My apologies, guys. Give me 1 second to get my equipment working as expected. You like matcha? I love matcha. Oh my goodness, some of the best I ever had was in Nagano. Okay, now we have TAC view to look at. As we see, a very typical beginning coming from Alamo, separating into 3 distinct groups, with True Metro Man and Dun Dun forming the northern group, Alamo, Prez, and Moldy forming the southern group, and Tab and Sizzle forming the southern group. Meanwhile, inSky is taking up into the air, with Yanyu and Wu Wei heading up the center, Flanker C and HGWJ following behind them, and their 2 F-15s are heading up to the north and the south. So, similar formations to what we got started with. We're looking at Lot ATC from inSky's perspective now. Now here is where the Alamo aggressors show off their skills. Now you know this group down here, this is Prez and Moldy. But at the moment, it's only showing up as 1 radar contact. So flying in formation isn't just for air shows, and that's not talking about me, but is an opportunity to hide however many of your aircraft are going in any particular direction. Pretty cool, huh? Once they get closer to the battle area, I wouldn't be surprised if we see those targets separate out. But look at these formations. It's just incredible. We have Prez and Moldy at 35,000 feet, about to enter the battle zone. We have Dun Dun and Metro Man heading in from the north at 36, and Sizzle and Tab at 35. Red takes control of the battle area, understandable as they started a little bit closer. Meanwhile, Yanyu is about to enter the battle area as well. Low and not breaking the sound barrier just yet. It looks like they're deciding to fly out relatively loosely. And we have the F-15s at 36,000 feet going in both directions. Plenty of fuel, but you need it to be able to keep up that speed at that height. Circling away in the background, we have the A-50 providing AWACS support. Let's see what the A-50 sees. At the moment, only detecting 2 groups. 2 groups coming in from Alamo. So, from the perspective of the GCI, there's only 2 planes to see. But that's not necessarily the truth, as we know that there are more Alamo planes in the sky than you might realize. Prez and Moldy in close formation heading in. Those beautiful formations as they separate out into combat ready. One thing Alamo can do very well is launch simultaneously against multiple targets. Looks like OVO is deciding to enter the battle area from quite far south. Meanwhile, we have the northern F-15C just lazily making its way along, not at any remarkable height or altitude. Now we see the plan come into motion. Dun Dun and Metro Man are taking the northern hills. Sizzle and Tab are following up the middle, but not at any enormous speed. However, they are cruising at nearly 40,000 feet, which is very high. And leading the way, we have Prez and Moldy at 40,000 feet. We have a loose unit of inSky pilots making their way in, with Yanyu being the closest at 10,000 feet and heading straight for Prez and Moldy. It'll be interesting to see if they want to do home on jam shots with their AIM 7s like they did last time. OVO is vectoring in the F-15 from the south and is currently 45 nautical miles away. Meanwhile, it looks like the northern F-15 is all alone against Dun Dun and True Metro Man. So, is this a case of divide and conquer? Tab and Sizzle look like they're going to be reactionary when it comes to their particular plan. Hopefully the lack of GCI doesn't cause too much trouble for Alamo. We'll see the first launches happen any moment now. But it looks like they might be heading straight for OVO. Perhaps Yanyu is a little bit too low, and we're not necessarily seeing what they've got. There we go. First launch away. Prez opens the fight with a AIM 7, followed quickly by an AIM 120C, and an AIM 120C in response from OVO. Everyone going defensive now. They've got their first missiles off the rails. Meanwhile, an AIM 120C launch from the northern F-15 against True Metro Man as Dun Dun continues the pursuit. What speed does this missile have? It's still going fast. Let's see if this one connects. It'll be a close thing, but I think it doesn't have the speed to catch up. But only by meters. Okay, looks like OVO got away from that one. Let's see if this one connects with the northern F-15. OVO feeling potentially a little bit stressed at the moment from what is quite a near miss. I think that this missile also is going to suffer the same problem of not quite having the legs to connect. The AIM 7 is not an accident. There is plenty you can do with an AIM 7. And if you want to force your enemy to get a little bit tactical and maneuver a bit with a home-on jam shot, causing their radar warning receiver to go a little bit off the rails, then there is plenty to be done there. We have a AIM 120C launch from Sizzle and another AIM 120C launch from Dun Dun, heading in towards HTWJ and Flanker C. This missile has speed. Okay, we'll follow this missile because I think... yeah, we can see that that's been spoofed by the ground clutter and is not following HTWJ anymore. More AIM 120C launches, Moldy this time launching. We've got Prez with a AIM 120C very close in behind. Has it got the legs to catch up? No, and only just. That was close. No kills for anyone yet. But it definitely feels like a much more aggressive Alamo is getting stuck into this fight here. True Metro Man re-vectoring to engage with OVO in the F-15 at 20 nautical miles, definitely within range. AIM 120C shot against Tab, who is turning cold and low. More AIM 120Cs going in both directions. Dun Dun potentially in trouble here. Yep, pulling some shapes, but it's not quite enough. Taking that AIM-120C shot done is the first to fall for Alamo. AIM-120C against Flanker C with speed. But is it going to get lost in the ground clutter? Have you got track? Doesn't necessarily feel like it. Looks like it's lost. Right, Flanker C gets away from that one. AIM-120C from Sizzle. Meanwhile, an F-15 is launching a AIM-120 against Sizzle from quite close range. It has speed. This is going to have to be kinetic... defeated by maneuvering. It's not enough just to fly away from this one. Miscalculated. Down goes another Alamo plane. Alright, we have Tab launching an AIM-7 against the F-15 of OVO. Hopefully it's got some legs on it, but you have to maintain that radar lock the entire way in. Once again, this is just falling apart for the Alamo aggressors a bit more than they expected. I doubt that this Sparrow has any track at all, more just a nuisance. Interesting that we don't see snake maneuvers, yeah. Definitely felt as if the belief was that that one could be defeated kinetically. AIM-120C shot from True Metro Man. And another AIM-7 launch? Do you not have any AIM-120s left? Just holding on to the AIM-120s. I feel like we just lost another Alamo plane, but I don't know who. Look, we've only lost 2. Okay, so this is getting a bit tricky. OVO down to just 1 heat seeker. Following in against a Alamo plane at quite close range. It's Prez versus OVO at close range again. And Prez, I don't think even knew. Bad luck. Prez takes a AIM-9M as this AIM-120C has speed and is heading in towards HTWJ. Hopefully it's got enough speed to connect. But it doesn't look like it. The air is thick and slows you down. AIM-120C against True Metro Man. But I don't think it has the legs to quite make it. Unless True Metro Man... yeah, it's lost track. Okay. It falls onto Tab, who still, fortunately, has quite a few AIM-120Cs. Alpha Gator, we'll let them know that you're available before the next round starts. AIM-120Cs launching in all directions here. Another dud launch happening. We have the northern F-15 heading in towards Tab. Appears to know that they're there with a close-range missile shot. AIM-120C, it looks like this one might have gone for Moldy. And this one is going up to meet them. That's hard to get away from. You're not going to get away from that. Down goes the northern F-15. And AIM-120C is coming in against Moldy with speed. It's going to have to be using the mountains for cover here. Will you get them lost in the ground clutter? Looks like he managed to get away with it. Alright. Never mind. Just got hit by an AIM-120C. So all we have left is True Metro Man in a very, very dire situation. What kind of weapons you got? 2 AIM-120Cs, 2 heaters. So you've got 1 missile for each enemy plane, and the last one you're going to have to finish with guns. An AIM-120C launch? At what? Going for a friendly again. inSky is just launching against friendlies constantly. I have no idea what the thought process is there. This Sparrow comes off the rails, has no track on anything. And this AIM-120C coming in towards True Metro Man, who is popping countermeasures and throwing shapes in an attempt to get away. But it's not looking good. What weapons you got? You've got a Sparrow left. A Sparrow and 2 Heat Seekers. That is going to be tricky. Show us what you got. Sparrow away. Where's it going? AIM-120Cs and Sparrows going in both directions. The flanker C Sparrow. The Sparrow just not going very quickly. True Metro Man in trouble. Going defensive in amongst the hills. And bang. There it goes. It's another disassembly from inSky against Alamo. The absence of a GCI is just killing them at the moment. As I'm sure as they have been doing, they continue to launch AIM-120Cs against their friends. So let's zoom out and have a look at what happened there. Check the TAC view. So, Prez and Moldy making the first launches against OVO, who very narrowly manages to get away from it. The AIM-7 really just a home-on jam shot, just in case. Clearly, they don't really have any idea that Yan Yu or Wu Wei are down there. The absence of the GCI hurting, definitely. AIM-120Cs going back and forth. True Metro Man going very defensive against this AIM-120 as he drops his tanks. AIM-120 launch against this southern F-15, which then has its buddy come along and work on getting that tail clear. Unlucky that this AIM-120C didn't connect, lost to the ground clutter, such as they tend to be. We have an AIM-120C shot from True Metro Man against Flanker C, which is met with some very, very tight maneuvering and countermeasures defeating that missile. HTWJ goes defensive against that AIM-120C. You just see how vulnerable these missiles are to ground clutter. They just fall loose. His AIM-7 shots, like, they never connect. They lose their track almost instantly. 2 AIM-7 shots, both of which might have had the legs to connect, but they just don't. And they're not going to. OVO gets away with it. There must have been at least 10 missiles launched against OVO. This situation between OVO and Prez, I think this is just a loss of situation awareness. I don't think Prez had any idea that they were there. That AIM-9 shot comes out, and Prez is just not aware. Which is a shame, but what can you do? OVO gets away with it, yeah. And that's pretty much all she wrote. That's a tricky situation for the participants of this whole situation. Moldy, unfortunately, just missiles coming in from all angles. Can countermeasure and chaff to your heart's content. You see, this is why multiple launches can be dangerous. This AIM-120C, a very narrow dodge. Moldy turns to intercept against whoever was firing at them. Meanwhile, a very, very tall shot. Wow, this is an incredible shot. This look-down shot against Moldy, launched all this time ago, and still tracking, still tracking, still tracking. Moldy thinks they're in the clear, and then a second too late, just earns themselves an AIM-120C for their trouble. And that's all she wrote. It's time to watch inSky make their way back home, as they have jettisoned all their munitions. We have lonely, sad AIM-9s with no friends, going through the air, looking to find a new home, but sadly, this is not a place for AIM-9s with no heat signatures to follow them. POV, you are Alamo aggressors in the last 2 rounds. Or POV, you are the wall in Jamiroquai's house. He passive tracked me with an O-Seeker. Oh, Prez, I think that Alpha Gator is willing to volunteer to be your GCI if you still need one, if that's possible. We'll watch them make their way back home. Perfect time to get a snack and a drink. I'm sure that at least one of these 5 planes will be able to land. Okay. Alamo have managed to find a GCI. Might be harder this round for inSky. Yeah. Let's not count them down and out yet. There is still plenty more fight to go as Wu Wei continues that patented I need to slow down so I can land maneuver. It's definitely one way of flying an aeroplane. Bleeding speed or shaking a milkshake in the cabin? Remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, that secures the round for inSky. So it is 2-0 within the conflict of SATAC. We have some loose AIM 120Cs coming in down around the inSky starting zone. A little bit of weight reduction just to get things started off. This one landing trick that the FAA hates. Yeah. Federal Aviation Schmo Authority. Who listens to them? Coming in for a landing. It's just a matter of procedure for now. Well, well, well. That is looking interesting. It has definitely been a difficult start for the Alamo aggressors. But now that they've managed to secure themselves a GCI, it does make me wonder if they are looking at a very exciting turnaround. This could go for all 5 rounds. There is no time to assume that this is over. And is that everyone from inSky? No, we've still got OVO left to go. One of the inSky F-15s went down, so not a clean sweep for inSky. But there's a big uphill battle waiting to happen for the members of the Alamo aggressors. And the F-15 is happy on the ground, looking good, feeling good. Those spindly little landing gear legs, often a little bit tricky to quite get the knack of landing properly. Alright, well, that is the end of round 2. We're moving on to round 3 now. But we have to get everything set up and ready to go. So, if you need to stand up, get a drink, have a stretch, now's the time to do it, because there is more fight left for everyone involved. I thank you all very much for being here, and let's be back shortly. Okay, welcome back to round 3 of SATAC 2022, the knockout stages. inSky versus the ALAMO aggressors. Can ALAMO, with a renewed sense of vigour, come back with their new GCI and turn the tables? Or is this open and shut? Another day in the office for the members of inSky. We see everyone getting into their aircraft and starting everything up. It's time for some payback. Do you have the music for Rising Squall? No, but shall we see if we can get it? Okay. Alright. Everyone's getting ready. Everyone's arming up. The teams have switched sides yet again. Four F-16s and and two F-15s versus 6 F-15s. This ain't gonna be easy for anyone. Warmonger is better for air combat streaming. Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I think this is good getting ready music. Got to get those liveries on, boys. The two F-15s solemnly starting those two big engines. Oh, the anticipation is exciting, isn't it? Can you feel it in the air? Of course, later on today, we also have a second match happening today. After I'm done for today, we can hand you on over to Nuff Butter with the 51st versus TMC at 1700 Zulu time. Last Stand for Alamo. Yeah. Didn't they make a movie about that? I don't know. I could have sworn that that there was something I had to remember about that. I'm sure it was nothing important. Sounds like the Alamo engines are just getting started. They'll shortly be taxiing their way down. Meanwhile, inSky is already making their way down to the airfield. Terrain that they all ought to be very familiar with now. I mean, you've got to hand it to Alamo for showmanship. Closing their canopies at the same time. So extra. That's so extra. I love it. How many F-15s do Alamo have? 5. Are they missing one? 1, 2, 3. No, it's 6. Prez was already making their way. The Alamo aggressors only fly one plane, but they did tell me after their previous match that that once the F-15E comes out, things might change. But, I mean, if you're switching from an F-15 into an F-15, I'm sure it's not the biggest change in the world. A few more colourful screens, but what else do you need? Alamo is a strong squadron, and they do deserve respect. You're exactly right. I couldn't agree more. They've won plenty of competitions and will be putting on a fearsome show now that they have a GCI to support them. In terms of outstanding professionalism and quality flying, they've done very well. Meanwhile, over in the northwest, the scrappy victors who must be feeling quite excited as Flanker C has forgotten to put on their livery. Morale on this side of the pond must be feeling pretty good. As having had won 2 rounds, they'll know that the victory here is well within their reach. The F-16's taking the lead for inSky, with the Anu starting off quite far down the runway. No, you don't need that much of a takeoff roll. Looks like this time it is once again the 2 jamming pod, 2 triple bagged F-16s, and for the F-15s, the exact same loadout as before, but the inSky pilots electing not to take Sparrows for themselves, which I know that the pilots over at the Alamo aggressors definitely like having the option of bringing some Sparrows with them. But with that having had been said, plenty of Sparrows have been launched this match, and none of them have met their mark yet. Ah, don't talk about food, guys. I'm starving. I'm starving here at the moment. I am just starving. Alamo forming close formation here. Don't talk about your ribs anymore, okay? I've had enough. I've had it up to here with your ribs. Don't you worry, Starry. I'm only going to take special requests from you. Looks like everyone is just about ready to go. Both teams ready. Okay. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go. And there we have it. It's time to start round 3 of Alamo Aggressors versus inSky. This is make or break for Alamo, and the opportunity to win for inSky. They are going to have to pull out all the stops here to either try and close out this match or claw themselves back from the jaws of defeat. I wonder if the Alamo Aggressors will go with the same tactic they've used 2 times before, which is splitting up into their separate groups. Once again, one group of F-16s leading the way, with the second group following close behind. Much less strict coherence happening in amongst inSky, with them being perfectly happy to spread themselves out. Alamo are still carrying AIM-7s. Well, you can bring... you can only bring 4 Fox 3 missiles, and the F-15 has plenty of space for more. So if you've got those empty pylons, you might as well bring the AIM-7s if you want to. Obviously, the inSky team doesn't necessarily feel like carrying the extra weight, but for the aggressors, they don't seem to mind. As you can see here, we have 4 AIM-120Cs and 2 AIM-7s. No, it's not a case of carrying the wrong one. It's just a balancing maneuver so that aircraft that can only bring 4, like the JF-17, and aircraft that can bring a lot, like... Oh, here we go. Something interesting coming here from Alamo. With their middle pair looking like they seem to want to stay not as high as their brethren. Prez and Moldy, once again, being the picture-perfect formation flyers. Not right now, sorry, I can't look at... I've got too much on. I can't look at pictures. There's a fight happening. Not quite busting the sound barrier yet, but I'm sure they will in due course. Meanwhile, inSky are separating themselves out fairly widely. Let's have a look and see what they see on Lot ATC. Once again, we're watching this from the blue perspective, and we can see what Alamo sees, and they're definitely picking up most of the contacts up at the moment with the separation happening out here. This plane up here is more than likely the let's see. Can tell them what... Oh, isn't that cool? You can classify them as different varieties of different different varieties of aircraft and targets. It's very, very cool. Looks absolutely fantastic. So, now that they have a GCI, they'll be able to take full advantage of all of the different qualities that you can utilize within the Lot ATC system as they progress towards the combat area. How are we looking on TAC view? A wide separation amongst inSky with the F-16s crawling up the middle at lower altitudes and the F-15s leading the way up in the north and the south at high altitudes. Meanwhile, we have the same 3 pair of ALAMO planes progressing towards the combat area that we have seen before. The same tactic as before, but potentially suffered in previous experience with the absence of a GCI. Now, having someone to guide them towards their targets and keep them informed, it'll be interesting to see if they manage to make a different showing of things. Fingers crossed, because if we manage to get them into the next round, then we've got a real fight happening. The southern group is turning into the parallel formation that they did before. This time with the northern and southern groups leading the way, with the central group lagging behind just a little bit. Still hovering around about the 37,000 feet altitude that we experienced before. Meanwhile, the F-16s in a loose formation, the northern ones at 8,000 feet and the southern ones at around 16, 20, 22,000 feet. Meanwhile, the F-15s climbing right up to altitude, OVO taking the southern route for the 3rd time, and our friend up here with the question marks taking the northern angle again. Bits of terrain that they should be terribly familiar with by this point. Plenty of threats on the horizon, all of which are waiting for engagement. Prez and Moldy heading up to 40,000 feet and gaining speed, looking for those long-range AIM-120C launches. Should be much easier now with a bit of guidance coming in from the GCI. Meanwhile, Dun and Metro Man sore from the previous loss, looking forward to potentially getting a little bit of revenge here. They're separating out and are probably getting detected as 2 separate groups, but I wouldn't be surprised if the GCI for inSky doesn't even realize that this is a 2 pair up here. Kanyao, Yanyu, HTWJ, and Flanker C are progressing in a box formation towards the Central Valley, with OVO and Dun and True Metro Man looking like they're about to butt heads any second now. A separation of 32 nautical miles, definitely a shootable range. What matters is being able to burn through that ECM, and we have our first launch, an AIM-120C launched from OVO towards Dun, and a Sparrow in response as True Metro Man launches an AIM-120C towards OVO. Finished digging. Well, it was bound to happen eventually. Meanwhile, a long-range AIM-7 shot from Prez towards the northern F-15, and Moldy is breaking off south as there is an AIM-120C coming in towards them, not to be taken for granted. This missile has some speed. Is this going to present any threat to True Metro Man? Looks like it's been defeated kinetically without dropping any altitude. Meanwhile, this missile heading for Prez, how's that going? It's slowing down, and I don't think it has a reliable track on the venerable Prez. Come on, Dun. You're flying in formation with it now. Okay. It's surely going to break off eventually. No connections so far, with OVO turning and breaking north. An AIM-120C launch against Moldy. kind of off angle there. I'll be surprised if we get much result from that. Meanwhile, Moldy has launched an AIM-120C in response with some good speed and height. That will be a tricky one to get away from if you're not careful, but it looks like OVO has turned away in due course. This missile, yeah, I was going to say, AIM-120C going for Moldy with True Metro Man just flying past it, no bother. Already we're seeing things a little bit more coordinated here. AIM-120C launch from fairly low. Meanwhile, simultaneously Sparrow and AIM-120C shot. HTWJ, the unsuspecting potential victim for this missile, and turning in towards it. If this thing has track, you'll be in serious trouble. Is it tracking anything? No. What a shame. Okay. Everyone's getting away clean so far. K-Now has got a AIM-120 heading towards them. We'll rely on ground masking to get away from that. Heading down into the valleys, another AIM-120C shot coming from Tab, and one in response coming from an F-15C. Both sides now maneuvering away. Yanyu launching an AIM-120C at relatively close range, but with no real track on Tab, who is getting tactical down in the dirt. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we've lost a plane for Alamo. It would be True Metro Man, who's bitten the dust. Meanwhile, we still have all of the inSky planes up and about. True Metro Man not having any joy so far. Moldy is launching up against K-Now, who is firing one off in response and going back down into the ground to try and evade. Hasn't even dropped the bags yet, so mustn't feel like this is a particular threat. This AIM-120C going to be quite easily spoofed into the mountains. More Sparrows in the air, more Sparrows that aren't killing anything. inSky demonstrating a very good understanding of what it takes to get away from missiles in flight. This missile not seemingly tracking anything, just went straight for the dirt. AIM-120C shot potentially against Dun Dun, falling down to Dun Dun's altitude. Dun Dun will have to be very careful here, but no dice, that thing is not deadly. Meanwhile, we have simultaneous launches against Dun Dun and Prez. Prez takes that missile, bad luck, and Dun Dun now having to get very fast and very tactical as sees Prez's shattered plane, and that connects as well. Dun Dun is down. Tab and Sizzle and Moldy, the last ones left for Alamo, who are getting disassembled here. Tab having to go very, very cold. And masking against the terrain. Sizzle out of position here a little bit. AIM-20 sneaky launch against K-Now. But that's defeated by terrain. OVO is pursuing Tab as a matter of vengeance. Desperately wanting to connect, but with the benefit of GCI, Tab will know that they're there. And potentially can do some dogfighting modes as they turn in to look at who they're tangling with, but there's a missile coming in, and it's too late. Down goes Tab, taking a heat seeker potentially. Moldy now forced to get down and dirty with any hope of defeating these missiles. It's looking tough. AIM-120C from Kainau. Has it got any kind of reliable track against our hero down here? No, that one's going for the ground, actually. Oh, that was dangerously close, hitting a tree behind Moldy. This is a merge we've got going on here. AIM-9M shot, very close range, that'll be hard to miss. No countermeasures going out, and down goes another F-15. Sizzle is in the merge and launches an AIM-9M that connects. It is all down to Sizzle, who may be the last hope that Alamo have to get away from it. With 5 planes for inSky in the sky, and with 2 AIM-120Cs and 2 AIM-9Ms, this is looking stressful. And there are missiles all over the place for Sizzle. It is looking difficult. Countermeasures and speed and height and trees potentially to help you get away. But there's just no chance. Alamo devastatingly pushed out of the competition. And that's it. inSky with a fearsome showing, having had taken up the challenge and answered with a resounding claim of their ability. A terrific job to both teams, both of which are well-respected veterans of this sport of flying. So make no mistake, everyone here knew exactly what they were doing. Well, inSky still has to fly back home, so it's not necessarily over just yet. But it certainly would be a struggle to think of any situation where this doesn't finish now. The lack of GCI first 2 rounds might have been different if Alamo had one. Yes, unfortunately so. But that's the name of the game. Well, we'll see what we can see, as we'll see if someone is from Alamo is available to have a quick chat. inSky has earned their Bing chilling today. Well deserved. If there is anyone from Alamo who would like to join in and have a quick interview, I'd love to. Meanwhile, we'll watch as inSky make their way back to their home airfield, having had put it all out there and given a very, very, very big fight in this engagement here. Goodness me, what a difficult fight to be stuck into. That was difficult. I mean, Alamo, they have just demonstrated their own brilliance as airmen and women, with the capability of fighting hard and with enormous aggression. But something about inSky's strategy here caught them on the back foot. The lack of a GCI, definitely a contributing factor, but it definitely felt like even as they had a GCI in the last round, and things still seem to be a little bit stressful. It definitely was potentially something in the lack of dynamicism that they had with regards to their fight with inSky. the scrappiness and the ability to just shoot and turn and shoot and turn and shoot and turn was devastating. And the F-15s of Alamo struggling really to feel as if they knew precisely where they were. Well, we'll do some interviews with the teams and say hello to everyone. I think that Prez from Alamo is going to join me, and then now the real question is, will we see another inSky landing where they wiggle and squiggle all over the place? This is going to end up being a 343rd fight against inSky, for sure. A devastating battle across the Asian Peninsula. Wiggle and squiggle. You'll know what I mean. Alright, looks like that we have Prez from Alamo here to have a quick chat. Hello, Prez, how are you going?
Hello, what's up?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was difficult.
For sure. I mean, 6 aircraft, no data link, not even fighter to fighter. Even the flanker in this tournament gets fighter to fighter because they turned on some sort of mod or whatever for it. But yeah, no DL, ground memes, and they came out of, I'll be honest, they came out of left field with their thing, but I'll let you ask questions and whatnot, I'll answer them as we go.
Yeah, no worries. No, I think it definitely, because I know that during the first 2 rounds, you guys were in a bit of a rough shape with your GCI, which is unfortunate, and the lack of data link and situational awareness. Do you think that was really one of the defining factors that made things difficult?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no fighter to fighter DL, or I mean, no one had actual true AWACS DL, but no fighter to fighter at the very least is hard because you don't know where your friends are unless you're keeping visual tabs on them or very close formation.
Yeah. In fact, I hadn't considered that for sure.
And anyone and the nice thing about fighter to fighter is that, you know, when someone picks up a dude on radar, like he'll beam that info to everybody else.
Yes.
And we just don't have that. We have to go off Brock halls, which obviously if you're spaced like 30 miles apart, those Brock halls aren't going to be very accurate.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard there, in that kind of stuff. But I mean, we fight in the F-15 all the time, so it's really not too hard for us to keep tabs on each other. It's the hardest part to keep tabs on the enemy. And when
yes,
the entire
I was going
enemy
to
team
say.
is and this is I went and looked back at the TAC views to build a strategy for this fight. Which is why we were firing different missiles than we normally do in the first pass. And I was like, okay, they're going to be a low block Air Force. So we're going to try and take advantage of that. I was not planning for them to just straight up ingress low block with the majority of their flight. So, yeah. But yeah, and then they just hugged the ground the entire time. So it's hard to balance that with them also flying F-15s as high as possible. Especially when it's in the first round, we had issues with like Dun, for example, was getting spiked by an F-15, and he's like, "Is somebody on our team spiking?" Which the assumption should be no, because the IFF is instantaneous, so none of us should be making that mistake. And you know, you get F-15 nails, and you have to think, is it us or is it them?
Yeah,
and that makes it harder.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't mind me asking, and of course, do not give away secret strategies. The opening launches of the Sparrows, what was the intent behind that?
Yeah, so because we lost and we don't need to, it doesn't matter anymore, right? If we had won, I wouldn't tell you.
Okay.
But since we lost, so the idea was, last year in SATAC, we tried doing the same thing but with AIM-120Cs, However, the the 120C doesn't loft against a jammer.
Yes.
So the PK goes down dramatically.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what about the Sparrow? Because we carry the Sparrows on our jet. I've seen other people in the F-15 not carry them, which I think is just an active not using the aircraft to its full capability.
Yeah.
But
Because I can't imagine that the drag from carrying a Sparrow is massive
it's
by any stretch.
It's non-existent. It's really non-existent, especially belly. But the idea was, so what we did was normally we just take 7Ms because the MH is frankly worse because it lofts, and so that loft is not very good. So it increases the terminal kinetics, but it does not actually. It gets there slower. Like it gets there a few seconds later than a regular M would.
Right.
So it's bad. It's worse in a straight up Fox 1 v Fox 1 fight because you really want that missile to hit first.
Okay.
But in this, the idea is that the AIM-7 MH still actually lofts against a jamming contact at up to 30 miles. If you launch outside of 30 miles, even by like 2 inches, it won't guide whatsoever and just go dumb off the rail because ED coding and logic is epic.
Yeah.
So that was the idea, was that we would Fox immediately at 30, and we were originally doing it against going to do it against F-16s because the burn through on an F-16 for an F-15 is 29 miles. So we could just immediately hit burn through Fox, defend, and there's nothing they can do about it. What are they going to do? Fire a 29-mile non-lofted AMRAAM at us?
Yes. Okay.
So, and the idea was because we saw them in the first in the PTF fight, they were doing screen tactics with their jammers. So what would happen is one person fires a Sparrow at the jamming, gets him to break off, and then the wingman is able to target the non-jamming guy and employ a standard 120 on him.
Yeah.
Did not happen because they brought out the F-15s. I would really want to know why that was. I assume probably because they were like, oh, we fly F-15s. Maybe it'll trick them or something. It definitely was a really good strategy. It took us the third round to figure out exactly what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the Sparrow was, we took one 7M and one 7MH. MH obviously for the first pass, 7M is for reserve later on.
Right.
And so the idea again was to instead of wasting an AIM-120 against a team that does a majority of just like ball, like they're doing grinders in a ball formation, and they take fake passes a lot. So why would we waste an AIM-120C when we only have 4 of them against a super passive team?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just a complete waste of a missile.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Airshow, inSky is in here as well for the interview. So you can
Okay.
just continue.
No worries. Thank you, Tech. If you want to go one channel down 1969, then I'll finish talking to Prez and Dundun, and then I will join you in a sec.
Okay, I'll join the interview to channel. Okay.
Cool. Thank you. Now that I hear it explained like that, it does make an enormous amount of sense, and it feels like if it was the F-16s that were meeting you up there, then it would have gone off quite well. And you were exactly right. They were screening with their F-16s, but they had, for one reason or another, brought along their F-15s, which it would be interesting to ask whether or not that was a specific Alamo aggressor's counter move. If you were to approach this again, do you think you would try the same tactic, or do you think you would go for something else?
I think ingress formation, we might change it up a little bit. There's no point in us flipping to a different airframe. The F-15 works out just fine. I think the flanker is probably better in this format because it has the EO and stuff, so it still gets ranging information through a jammer.
Yeah.
And the ER in a straight line will just F-pull the crap out of an AIM-120C.
Yeah.
And you also get the data link, fighter-to-fighter data link, blah, 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 a million things. But I would still stick with the F-15s. We definitely, it was really rough. The first 2 rounds, no GCI whatsoever because 1400 Zulu start time for a mostly American team. Our GCI, who normally would be here, had IRL stuff to attend to and would not have been here unless it started at 17 Zulu.
Yeah.
and we were all just really tired. Like, I mean, 9 a.m. start time is not usual. You know, that's the typical international standard for these things is like 1800 Zulu.
Sure.
So, but yeah, and then when we finally got Alpha Gator, very much thank you to him for assisting us there. The third round felt so much better.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously, still things did not go the way we intended, and I think we might come in a different formation. We might be a little bit more aggressive, perhaps. But I think it was just an issue with like essentially these we're like warming up and whatnot, because the first round we had really terrible communication problems. Second round communication was better. Third round communication was even better, and that's usually the problem with our team is you know, the lack of DL, and if people don't talk, you know, you can't just make decisions off of your MFD with a HSD on it, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. No.
So
It's the big trade-off in the F-15, and turns a lot of people off the airframe. Now, here's the million-dollar question: will we see Alamo in F-15Es?
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure almost everybody in our team has already pre-ordered it. And we're immediately going to swap to it, because as far as we see it, it's just an F-15C full fidelity with more bells and whistles.
Yep.
So competitively speaking, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much all going to go there, and develop tactics for it that way. Got to do a lot of science to figure out, you know, if we can fly it exactly the same way as a 15C. But it should frankly just improve our game a lot, simply having data link, a better radar, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the nice stuff, you know, tack ends, so we can do yardstick and stuff like that. Eventually we'll get an HMD. So just, I mean, the you know, the airframe, I don't think the airframe really makes the pilot, but an improvement in the airframe in an already good pilot will just make them significantly better.
Yes, I was going to say, I think that Alamo's time spent in the F-15Cs and their mastery of it. I mean, I don't think there will be anyone who disputes that that for a team that flies one airframe, the F-15 guys are Alamo. I think, given the tools and toys that comes with the E, it will turn you guys into just absolute monsters. So we're all looking forward to it very much. Well,
absolutely. Yeah.
I would like to say thank you very much for participating, and I really enjoyed watching and casting your matches. Sorry that this is where it ends, but congratulations on all of the effort and for some great flying. Are there any shout-outs you'd like to do, or...?
Just, I mean, shout out to Alpha Gator for assisting us as a GCI last second. You know, very thankful that he could come on and help us. My team, obviously, for being here. It was obviously rough on our end, but you know, just like once we take that loss, it's like, you know what, let's just try to just do our best. Honestly, I don't really care how it goes, because it's like if I try to tighten down the hatches, it'll just kind of make people worse. But
and
you know,
and a worst case scenario, it's a good bit of new experience.
Absolutely. And inSky, very definitely, I really do want to know why they pulled out the F-15s,
Sure.
because that definitely came way out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the future, if anyone uses what we did in this team, I want full credit. Royalties will be expected in the mail.
Okay.
But thank you very much. Thank you, Airshow, for streaming and all that, and good luck to inSky in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you very much, Prez. Much appreciated. And I hope that you and your team enjoy the rest of your day. And please wish them all the best from us and all of the chat.
Yeah, I will. Have a good day.
You too. Hello, 1969. How are you going? How are you feeling?
Hello, Airship D. How is it going?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you guys feeling after that win?
Yeah, that was definitely some good matches. I see both sides playing incredibly well. I mean, I didn't fly the match. I was kind of like a backup. So, and I also I was not included in the voice channel, but it was definitely a good fight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the big question.
Yeah.
Were the F-15s brought specifically because you knew you were going against Alamo today?
You mean did we like choose to fly the F-15 because we are against the ALAMO?
Yes.
Well, not well, I would say no, because during our trainings we fly multiple types of aircrafts. We have tried to fly a team with like F-16, F-18 Hornet, or the including the Eagle. So I wouldn't say it's just because of the ALAMO, but more like we have a couple set of team setup. So
Sure. Well, there was 3 rounds. That was as short as it could have possibly be for you guys, and it was quite clean all the way through. What do you think worked for you guys? What do you think was the key to your success today?
Well, I didn't fly the match, so I don't have, and I also, like I said before, I was not included in that voice chat channel, so I couldn't be much. I don't have much more details. So, but I would say, I think our team did a good job in maintaining the formation things. Like, I see like a lot of fights going on, but our team, I see them managing to keep a good formation.
Yeah,
Like, I think
absolutely.
That's one. Yes. Yeah.
No worries. Okay. Well, you guys have, I believe it is the 343rd next. The team from Japan versus the team from China. That is going to be an exciting match. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah. Yeah, 343. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to watching it and being there for it. Do you think you guys are going to win all the way to the end this year?
Well, definitely, I hope so. But let's see how it goes. I definitely hope so. But yeah, let's see how it goes.
All right. Well, please wish luck to all of your teammates and say thank you to them for participating today. And good luck in the matches that are coming up. Thank you for talking to me, 1969.
Yeah, thanks for all the team joining this match, and definitely thank you for you to put out this wonderful streaming. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I look forward to seeing the next match. It's going to be great. All right. Thank you. I'll speak to you later.
Yep. Take care.
All right, guys. That's it for now. That's all the flying we've got for you. And the next match does not start until... Well, Starry Fox 9, what do you think? You're going to be up against... inSky. Are you feeling a bit worried? Are you feeling a bit anxious? You think you've got what it takes? It'll be interesting to see how you guys go. So, at 1700 Zulu time, we have the 51st versus TMC on Nuffbutter's channel. So, let me shout out Nuffbutter so that you will handle them for sure. Terrific. Let me shout out Nuffbutter here, who will be hosting the second match of the day between the 51st and TMC. That's going to be a good one. Be sure to take good care of yourselves and each other. I can't rate into him because he's not live just yet. Thank you for all of the follows and for the subscription. Thank you for the raid and Genius TV. Really do appreciate it. I hope that all of you enjoy the rest of your day and take good care. I hope you enjoyed all of the flying. Don't forget to check out all of the rest of the content coming up for the SATAC competition. If you like my content, don't forget you can join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Alright, that's it for me. I will catch you guys on the next match. Bye-bye.